Hi, my name's Derby. I used to go to Pyles Boys Camp and work up there for many, many years. And I thought I'd share a thought for the day that came to mind. It's called The Camper Who Could Sleep Through a Storm. And in my early days at Pyles Camp, I used to work all year round and then take the summers off and work at camp. And I'd always save a little bit of the summer to go hiking somewhere else just to find a new adventure. And I'd go with one of my Pyles Camp buddies. And one year we had planned at the end of the semester to go in between my college courses and camp. And my friend at the time, at the last minute, said he couldn't make it. He needed to take a course over the summer that he didn't pass. So he offered me a friend of his number and said, call this guy. He'll go. He's a camper who can sleep through a storm. You guys will have a great time. So I said, okay, and thanked him and wished him well on his summer class. But as I was walking and thinking about taking this trip, I was hesitating when my friend said he's a camper who can sleep through a storm. What does that mean? Who's a camper who can sleep through a storm? In any case, I went about my merry way, got my things together, and at the last minute decided to call the guy. And he said he could come along and he'd love to. So we met in Los Angeles and drove to Arizona where we were going to hike to the Superstitious Mountains. And we had about a 10-hour drive to get to where we were going. We got to the trailhead and we were really tired, so we just set up our tent real quick. At least I did. I did all the driving. I just got out of the car. I got the tent and set my tent up and looked over at my friend and new friend and said, "Good night. I'll see you in the morning." And I just crashed, and I was out like a light. And all of a sudden I started to hear some raindrops, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and then I heard lots of rain. And then I jumped up in my tent and realized I hadn't prepared anything. The windows were still down in the car. I didn't have any firewood. I didn't get some stuff out of the trunk that I needed and put everything that was in the front seat of the car back into the trunk. I didn't organize my shoes at all. They were soaking wet outside of the tent. I put on my soaking shoes, ran over to the car without a jacket, soaking wet, opened the car, and I realized the windows are up. And I look inside the car, and all the stuff is out of the front seat. And so I go around to the back in the trunk and I open it up, and everything's organized in the trunk. And I go back to the tent and I look over, and next to my tent, right on the inside ledge, there's a plastic package. And I look inside and it's a bunch of firewood that's been packed there. And I see some dried fruit over on the side of my sleeping bag. And I see a lantern that I hadn't seen when I first got up in such a rush. And then I finally hit me. I realized what my friend had said about his buddy being a camper who could sleep through a storm. What he meant was this is a guy that when he got to a campsite, he came prepared and he left no stone unturned. And he made sure things were taken care of and everything was set up before he decided to relax for the evening. Because when you're in the mountains, the weather changes every 10 minutes. You never know what you're going to get. So now I understand when I meet someone and someone tells me that they are a camper who can sleep through a storm, what that means. How you can pose that to your own life and use it as a life lesson for yourself these days is think of all the virus that's going around. Think about how you can wash your hands, how clean they should be, to wear the protective measures the city and states and government has asked us to wear and to keep isolated and stay at home and bear and grin it, make the best of the situation for the time being until we figure out some cures and a way to get a move around the virus. And it pays to prepare and have food for a couple of weeks. So that's my thought for the day in this time of need. Be a camper who can sleep through a storm. Thank you. and God bless.